God is dead, and you killed him. Those words, written over a century ago, weren't a celebration. They were a warning, a prophecy of the chaos that would follow when humanity lost its ultimate source of meaning. The death of God left a void that nothing has filled. Friedrich Nietzsche saw what was coming: the nihilism, the despair, the frantic search for something to believe in. And today, you're living in the aftermath, meaning, purpose, direction lost. That emptiness you feel at 3 a.m., that sense that something is fundamentally wrong with modern life. Nietzsche predicted it all. But here's what most people miss: he also gave us the antidote. What you're about to discover isn't just philosophy. It's a map out of the existential crisis of our age. The madman's cry. In 1882, Nietzsche wrote one of the most haunting passages in all of philosophy. A madman runs into the marketplace carrying a lantern in broad daylight. He screams, "Where is God? I will tell you, we have killed him, you and I." The crowd laughs at him. They think he's insane. But the madman isn't celebrating. He's terrified. God is dead. God remains dead. And we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? This wasn't atheism as you know it. Nietzsche wasn't saying God never existed. He was saying something far more disturbing: that the foundation upon which Western civilization built its entire system of meaning, morality, and purpose had collapsed. And nobody realized what this actually meant. The madman throws his lantern to the ground and says he has come too early. People haven't yet understood what they've done. But you will understand. Because that collapse, you're living in its ruins right now. The void within. Here's what Nietzsche understood that most people still don't. For thousands of years, God wasn't just a religious belief. God was the ultimate answer to every question. Why does life have meaning? Because God gave it meaning. Why should I be moral? Because God commands it. Why does suffering matter? Because God has a plan. Meaning, morality, purpose, God. When that foundation crumbled, it didn't just affect religious people. It affected everyone. Because even secular values, human rights, progress, equality, were secretly built on religious assumptions. The idea that every human life has inherent worth. That came from the belief that humans are made in God's image. Remove God, and suddenly you have to answer an impossible question. Why does anything matter at all? If this realization is hitting you right now, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring these depths with me, because what comes next might change everything you believe about yourself. Nihilism arrives. Nietzsche's greatest fear wasn't that people would stop believing in God. It was what would fill the void. He called it nihilism, the belief that life is meaningless, that nothing matters, that all values are arbitrary. Nihilism. And he saw two types coming. The first is passive nihilism. The exhaustion, the giving up, the sense that nothing is worth pursuing. You see it everywhere today. The epidemic of depression, the retreat into distraction, people numbing themselves with endless entertainment because facing existence feels unbearable. The second type is even more dangerous. Active nihilism, the destruction of all values, the embrace of chaos. When nothing is true, everything is permitted. Nietzsche watched this unfold in the 20th century through 2 world wars, totalitarian regimes, and horrors beyond imagination. All of it, he predicted, because humanity killed God and had nothing to replace the meaning he provided. But Nietzsche wasn't content to just diagnose the disease. Last men rise. There's a creature in Nietzsche's philosophy more terrifying than the nihilist. He called it the last man. The last man doesn't deny meaning, he settles for the smallest possible meaning. Comfort, safety, entertainment. We have invented happiness. Say the last men and they blink. The last man asks, why struggle? Why create? Why risk anything? He has his warm house, his distractions, his small pleasures. He lives without passion, without greatness, without any aspiration beyond tomorrow's comfort. Look around you. Social media addictions. The worship of convenience, the terror of taking risks, the mockery of anyone who strives for something greater. Comfort, safety, mediocrity, blink. Nietzsche saw this coming. A humanity so afraid of the void that it would choose comfortable meaninglessness over the dangerous pursuit of something greater. The last man is Nietzsche's nightmare, but it doesn't have to be your destiny. Will to power. Most people completely misunderstand Nietzsche's most famous concept. The will to power isn't about dominating others. It's not about political control or physical strength. It's something far more profound. The will to power is the drive to become more than you are. It's the force of growth, expansion, self-overcoming. Every living thing, Nietzsche observed, doesn't just want to survive. It wants to flourish, to become stronger, to express its full potential. The oak tree doesn't stop growing when it has enough sunlight. The artist doesn't stop creating when she has enough money. Something within us drives us to become more. This is the will to power, not power over others, but power over yourself. The ability to shape yourself into something greater. When God died, Nietzsche argued, this drive didn't disappear, but it lost its direction. People still wanted to grow, to become, to transcend, but toward what? This question led Nietzsche to his most dangerous and most liberating idea, the Übermensch. In a godless universe, who creates meaning? Nietzsche's answer, you do. Übermensch, the Übermensch, often translated as Superman or Overman, is Nietzsche's vision of human potential. Not a political leader, not a conqueror, but someone who creates their own values instead of inheriting them. Someone who says yes to life in all its chaos and suffering. Someone who transforms themselves into a work of art. Man is a rope tied between beast and Übermensch, a rope over an abyss. The Übermensch doesn't need external validation, doesn't need cosmic purpose handed down from above, doesn't need the promise of heaven to find life meaningful. They create meaning through their choices, their creations, their becoming. This isn't about becoming superhuman in some comic book sense. It's about becoming fully human, owning your existence, embracing your power to shape reality, becoming who you truly are. Create, become, transform, transcend. But how do you actually become this? Nietzsche gave us a test. Eternal return. Imagine this. What if you had to live your life exactly as you've lived it? Every joy, every pain, every mundane moment, over and over again for eternity. The same suffering, the same mistakes, the same everything forever. This is Nietzsche's thought experiment, the eternal return. He called it the heaviest weight, because it forces you to ask, would I choose this life again? Not someday when things get better. This exact life, as it is right now. If you can say yes to eternal return, you have mastered existence. Most people recoil from this thought, because most people are living lives they would never choose to repeat. They're enduring, not embracing, surviving, not thriving. But the Übermensch, the one who has truly overcome nihilism, looks at the eternal return and says, yes, I would live this life again, exactly as it is. This yes saying to existence, even its darkest moments, is what Nietzsche called the ultimate affirmation of life. And it leads to his most beautiful idea, amor fati. Amor fati, love of fate. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This is Nietzsche's answer to suffering, not to endure it, not to merely accept it, but to love it. Every failure that taught you, every heartbreak that deepened you, every obstacle that forced you to grow. Amor fati transforms suffering from meaningless pain into the sculptor's chisel. Everything that happens to you becomes material for your becoming. The Stoics had a similar idea, but Nietzsche goes further. Don't just accept your fate, embrace it as if you chose it. Love your fate so completely that you would will it eternally. This isn't passive resignation. It's active transformation, taking the raw material of your existence, including every tragedy, and forging it into something beautiful. Love fate, transform pain, grow. But what does this look like in practice? Create values. Here's where Nietzsche's philosophy becomes practical. In a world without God-given meaning, you have two choices. Wait for someone else to give you values and become a sheep following whatever herd is nearest. Or become the creator of your own values. 1. Question every inherited belief. 2. Ask what you truly value. 3. Create meaning through action. 4. Become who you are. This doesn't mean doing whatever you want. That's the trap of the last man's relativism. Creating values requires discipline. It requires knowing yourself deeply. It requires the courage to stand alone. Nietzsche spent his entire philosophy warning against both blind faith and blind rebellion. The point isn't to destroy the old values out of resentment. It's to transcend them, to take what serves life and discard what doesn't. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. That why doesn't come from above anymore. It comes from within, from your creations, from your becoming, from the meaning you forge in the fires of existence. And this brings us to the ultimate question: your becoming. Nietzsche went insane in 1889. He spent his final 11 years in silence, his mind shattered. Some say his philosophy drove him mad. The man who killed God was consumed by his own creation. But maybe he saw too clearly. Maybe he felt the weight of his message too deeply. Maybe living in a world that wasn't ready for his ideas broke him. Yet his ideas survived. And they're more relevant now than ever. Because you're living in the world Nietzsche predicted, where old meanings have collapsed, where nihilism lurks everywhere, where the last man's comfortable emptiness tempts us all. But you also have access to the antidote, the will to power directed towards self-overcoming, the Übermensch as your vision of human potential, the eternal return as your test of whether you're living fully, Amor Fati as your transformation of suffering into strength. Become who you are. God is dead. The old meanings are gone. And that's not a tragedy, it's an invitation. An invitation to become the creator of your own existence. You came here wondering why you feel lost in a world that promises everything but delivers emptiness. Now you know. The foundations of meaning that held humanity together for millennia have crumbled, and nothing has replaced them. Yet, create meaning, become yourself. But you have a choice that Nietzsche's generation didn't have. You can see the void clearly. You can understand what was lost. And you can choose to become something new. Not a last man blinking at comfort. Not a passive nihilist drowning in despair. But someone who creates meaning through how they live. Someone who says yes to existence. Someone who becomes who they truly are. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. If you made it this far, comment dancing star to prove you're ready to create meaning in a godless universe. The wisdom of the ages is yours. Use it well. If this unlocked something in you, subscribe for more. The vault has more treasures waiting.